We're asked to prepare a corrected balance sheet. I know there's a little bit of theory after that, but we'll do the corrected balance sheet. So the corrected balance sheet, premises, the premises figure there of 500,000. I go back and check my journal entries, and premises haven't been added to or subtracted from, so 500,000 for premises. Motor vehicles 35,000. If I go back and check, there's no entry for the motor vehicles, so we use the same figure. Equipment, I'm going to open up brackets. The figure that was here was 24,000. I go back to my journal entries. Equipment is an asset. If I enter anything on the debit side, will increase the asset. So 4,000 will be added on to equipment there. Check down along, and have we mentioned equipment again? And equipment has been credited with 3405. If you credit an asset, you subtract 3405 from the asset. So the net figure is 24,595. Total up your assets. Then we come to stock next, 60,500. There was no entry that affected stock. Debtors. The figure for debtors was 10,800. Debtors are an asset. If we debit the debtors, we add on to the asset. Debit debtors with 10,000 there, we add 10,000 onto debtors. Go down along and see debtors are debited with 125. We add 125 onto debtors, and that's all. So that gives me a final figure of 20,925. My third one is cash 12,200. So cash 12,200. Have I any entry on the cash account? I just see, did we? So the one that was cash minus 10,000 for the one that we treated as a cash sale. So we 10,000. Now, you can reduce cash, or you can put that entry into the bank either. So whichever one, you could have left the cash as it was and changed the bank. But I leave it the way it's done here. So take 10,000 away from cash and add up your current assets. Now my current liabilities, less creditors. And to explain the creditors, the one with the, we'll go down along here. The figure 52,300. I need to go back to the suspense. I'll do that in a few minutes. Creditors are a liability. If something is on the credit side of the general journal, we will add on to creditors. So 8,000 will be added on to creditors. So there's plus 8,000. Come down along here, and 22,400 is on the debit. Subtract 22,400 from creditors. And down here, creditors have been credited with 405. Add 405 onto creditors. And finally, go to my suspense account. My suspense account originally was debited. My suspense account was incorporated with creditors. That meant that I originally debited my creditors. I subtracted 6,995 from creditors originally. I now need to add on 6,995 onto creditors because we have eliminated all the mistakes. So that's my final figure for creditors. Go to bank next. My bank overdraft is 18,400. Where have I mentioned bank in my records here? So we have bank, it could be bank or cash, 500 on the debit. That reduces the overdraft, that 500, so that's taken away from bank. The next one is VAT. If something is on the VAT account is on the credit. So if something was put on the debit side, you subtract from that account. So we'll look and see where is VAT. 405 on the debit. So I subtract 405 from that, and that's my final figure. So take away your liabilities from your assets and you get your net current assets. And your total net assets there is that figure. So capital. Capital is next. My capital, 550,000. Capital is on the credit. If something is on the credit side here, we add on to capital. So I look and see capital 10,000 is on the credit, add 10,000 onto capital. And that's the only time that we mentioned capital. I put my net profit next, but it's my corrected net profit figure of 38,625 added on to capital. Less drawings, there was nothing that affected my drawings, so I get my final answer. Both totals are the same. Finally, I'm asked to outline the purpose of a suspense account. I'm going to show you the answer that's here. A suspense account is used when there is a mistake in the accounts that prevents the trial balance from balancing. You know, where the trial balance won't add up. The difference between the debit and the credit side of the trial balance is entered in a suspense account until the errors are discovered in order to allow the trial balance to balance. The relevant errors are corrected through the suspense account and the balance is then eliminated.